Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Sully's Mistake Factory. I don't remember what episode we're on now, guys. This has been going on a while, and I've been traveling back and forth between boat shows and other projects and everything. But the show must go on here as well, and we are back. When I last left you guys, we were building a new battery tray to mount everything on. So that was, you know, got to do the fiberglass every series, it seems. So going ahead, you can see here, it's all gel coated. It's not mounted in place yet, but you can see it did turn out really nice. Fits right in there, really good and snug. So we're all good there. We are going to have to move our bilge pump back a little bit, but we have room for that. So that's really a good thing there. And I think it's going to work out really nice. I'll end up putting a shelf on top of the batteries as a protector, and that way coming in and out of the engine space via the steps should be nice, clean, and good to go. So that is what we've got going on. And then in the episode prior to that, guys, we were talking about the MPPT, that was the solar charge controller, as well as our Xantrex charge inverter, talking about all the benefits of that. Well, we've gone ahead and we've got those mounted up here. You can see I've got wiring run right now, guys, for the inverter. I don't have the big boy 4-aught run. That's coming up here, but we do have our power cables here. So we talked about this is a pass-through, so we need to have an in and an out there. We've got our network cable, we've got battery temp sensors. Come around the corner here, you can see we have our MPPT, and then you'll see we have our big boy fuse holder, and then our Aegis switch that allows us to have the one feed in, and it's going to feed the inverter, and then it's going to feed also our house over here, and we're going to put a 200 amp breaker right there. Now, you guys notice this looks a little different, and we've actually got a little more compact. This show is living up to its tagline, mistakes were made, now what? Well, guys, when we did this original layout right here, remember we did a wire and I crimped it and everything. I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest with you guys. Blue Seas actually makes this bar right here that works really well. It's nice and thick, and it is really good, high capacity for the application, and it allows us to tighten this up. Now, hopefully, because you know, crossing streams here with Aegis and Blue Seas, something bad doesn't happen, but I think it's all going to work out just fine. It's just two different companies. One used to own the other. So we've got that going on there, but when I did that, guys, right here, take a look here, you can see we had our fuse block here. Well, if I take our fuse block, you guys are going to notice right here, as I do that, you can't quite tell, but there is a depth difference there where this mounts to that mounts. So we'd be able to do that, but the bar would be a little, you know, scattywampus on us here. It'd have a little bit of a lean to it like that. And again, by all standards, that would probably work, but it's not best practices and it's not the right thing. And I'm from the Midwest, where not only do mud flats come stock, but we also put lift kits on everything. So we're going to do a little body lift for this here. I've got this piece of 1/2-inch starboard, and I've gone ahead and I've marked it. So we're going to mount that there, and then put our breaker on top of it, and then put this bar on in place. So that's going to really tidy things up. You're going to see here in a few minutes as we get this all going, something else worth mentioning when we're talking about these bars, guys. Don't just leave them like this. Don't leave them exposed. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put some shrink wrap over these, because, guys, look at this right here. That is now an open battery positive terminal connection right there. Somebody comes by, hits a wrench, something grabs it. That's live. That is fused from here to here, but that's 400 amps easy. You can go through there without a lot of grief and aggravation. So we're going to go ahead and get after it, guys. We're going to put the lift kit on. We're going to put that spacer on there to get that fuse block on. Then we're going to go ahead. We're going to get this guy on. We're going to get a little heat shrink on him, as well as our other bus bar right here. And then you see down here, guys, actually probably take a little edit in here. You can see on our negative bus bar, I've actually moved our shunt as well. Got to kind of, pardon the spaghetti, guys, all the wires are loose right now. But this is our negative off of our shunt, because this will come off our battery. This is going out to the negative bus bar right here. So we'll have the inverter wiring right there. We'll have our house. Actually, the house is already right there. So we've still got an open one right there as well. So without further ado, guys, let's get after it. So now that we have the lift kit installed, and that's all looking all nice and nice on there, we've gone ahead and we have done the test fit just to confirm that this bar will fit on there like that. Now, critical part here, guys. And I wish I would have gotten the Aegis ones because they've taken this step, and that is making sure this is protected so that we don't have an exposed positive terminal on here. So I've just got some heat shrink right here, and what I've gone ahead is I've cut it down to length, so that way it's going to cover this. So we'll get out the old Milwaukee here. We're going to just shrink this down real quick. All right, so now we've got this secured and it's red, so we know it's positive, anybody looking at it. So now all I have to do is go like that, and go ahead and drive my fasteners back on there. And again, we're just gonna leave everything hand tight for right now as we tweak everything to get things adjusted. But then, drive those on, and that guy will be able to fit on there. Once we drive that nut down a little bit more, we'll get that a little bit tighter. So now I'm going to go ahead and repeat that same process again for this bar right here, because this is feeding our inverter side. And again, we don't need to worry about that negative side, obviously, because there's nothing there. It's negative. It's fine. You can touch that all day long. So we're going to do this one, get this one taken care of. And then, guys, I think we're going to jump on to the last wire pull that I've been dreading, and that is the inverter AC power. That's the 12-3 wire. That's 2 bundles of 12-3 that need to be run that I know are not going to be a walk in the park because I've been putting it off for that exact reason. So I'm going to do this. We'll show you that when that's done, and then we'll get after this wire pull next. All right, guys, now it's time to do, it's probably going to be the most painful part of this whole project, and that is this wire run. We have to run 12-3 wire for this inverter, and obviously we need to feed it because it's a charger, and then we need it also to be the output because it's an inverter. So we have to run 2 pairs of this 12-3 wire. Going ahead, I got the boat warmed up enough so this wire is semi-flexible. The problem is, guys, you look at this wire chase that I've got going across here. I have been in and out of this over the last, 15, 20 years, adding and subtracting things. We've got big gauge wire for the other battery charger that was in here for the engine bank and stuff. So we're still using that, so we can't get rid of that. And then we've also got the existing wiring. So I'm going to go ahead. I've already pulled it down. You can see, I don't know if you can actually see in the video, but I do have zip ties here. And then I've got other zip ties in spots where this is actually holding it up. There are saddles up in there for that. We're going to leave the saddle ones in place for right now so we don't unzip tie all of this and get the whole spaghetti to come apart. We just kind of want to go along. But what we don't want to do, or at least what I don't want to do, is just zip tie in place and end up with multiple sets of zip ties holding wires in. It makes it a real pain when you got to get in there later and you're trying to pull a wire out and there's a zip tie buried in holding half the wires and not the other half. So a way around that, guys, is we're going to go in here. We're just going to start cutting out some of these zip ties. Like I said, the bundle is still being held in place. Also, it's also really handy to have a box just to throw all of your trash in as you go. And what you want to do is you want to take one of these and you want to make a kind of decent size loop with it. So you leave it loose. So now we should have enough slack right here to run in that extra pair of wires. So just do that again right here as well. Go ahead and pull this around. We get this guy in there as well. And then what we can do is I can pull back. And again, guys, when I was doing this, I wasn't sure how much wire I needed. So better to run too much than not enough. And that is what we've done here. And I've gone ahead also, guys, and I've labeled them because I didn't know which ones were going to be for which I was pulling them. I didn't want to get it confused. I don't want to get a meter out later and do an ohm testing on it and see. So I've just labeled them AA, and BB. I don't know if you can see that right there. BB. So now I know I've got AA, BB, and I got AA, BB going into the inverter as well. So when I go and actually wire this, it should be in a little better shape. So now you can just pull these guys through here and through here, and then we pull this through. And then once we go ahead and we get this all pulled through, then I can go ahead and cut the saddle back right there and add in that to that portion right there. So it's not overly complicated, guys. It's just time consumptive more than anything else. So go ahead, we get those guys in there. Now I can go ahead and get this all zip tied up all nice and pretty. Of course, we need zip ties for that. Once you get this big bundle in there like that, you slide this over as far as practicable. Get these guys all lined up nice and pretty through here. That guy in there, that guy's going right there. So then what we can do is, obviously, we still want to leave ourselves enough slack going in on this end that we don't screw ourselves. So we leave a little bit of slack there, because you saw we have plenty of wire. And I've also got saddles already run here getting that bend around. So now, got this handy dandy little zip tie cutter right here. I can go ahead and Zeus this up. This will pull it nice and tight, and it will give us a nice clean cut. So now I don't have a sharp edge on my zip tie, and then I can go back. I can do the same thing over here and get this guy cut, make him look all nice and pretty. Make sure we're nice there. And now, guys, we're just going to repeat this process all the way down there. And then, I don't know if you kind of see behind me here, you have to go down there, and then we've got to go around the corner and up. So we're going to see how quickly we can knock that out in a little time lapse here. Get that all run with these zip ties, get this all buttoned up, make it look nice, and let's see what we get up to. All right, guys, that wire run is done. And I was actually a thinking animal for a change. While I was running that over there, if you saw in the time lapse, you actually saw me running a blue wire with that as well. That was a Cat 5 cable, because the Xantrex, as we've talked about, they all communicate on Modbus, and that is how they're communicating back and forth. We're using an RJ45 connection. And one of those needs to go up top, because we have to have a display outside of the engine space. So while I was running that 12.3 over and across and up and down and around and cursing and zip tying it all up, we also managed to get that done as well. Now we can start getting into some of the nuts and bolts of it, and that is getting the inverter wired up over here, guys. As you take a look, we talked about it, we got the wiring here for our shore power. Well, now we need to bring in the big wires right here to feeding this. I've gone ahead and I've made up the first wire here just to check and make sure my runs and everything. So we've got our 4-aught wire here, and now what we're going to do is I need to put in a couple of these saddle clamps, because we can't just have this wire hanging all loosey-goosey. We want to be able to direct it. So we're going to go ahead and move that back out of the way for a moment. And now I can go ahead and I'm going to drill a couple of holes here and put in our saddle clamps. So let's get after it. So now with the main power feed run over there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make up some more cables on here. We've got, like I said, guys, this is the 4-aught. It is yellow. It is the negative. And something to note when we're doing this, on the shunt is one size stud, and on the inverter is another size stud. So we've got two different ends we need to put on here. So always worth checking that out ahead of time, because what you guys don't want to do is be trying to drill out the 5/16 for a 3/8. It never ends well, guys. So just some quick math ahead of time, look at it, make sure it's going to fit and all that. So without further ado, we'll chop this thing all up here, get the time lapse going, and build another cable. Let's get after it. So now that we've got our positive and negative wire run and fed in, now it's time to deal with this pesky wire that we just did the wire run on a few minutes ago for getting it across, the AC wires. This is that 10-3 wire. We labeled that AABB, so we knew which wire was which. And we've gone ahead and AA is going to be our input side, BB is going to be our output side, and we're going to go ahead and splice this jacket back, cut it to length, and we need to make sure we are leaving enough slack in here so we have what is called a drip loop. And again, not that we're going to get moisture up here, but if we did and water was running down the jacket of the wire, we don't want to funnel it straight into the inverter. We want it to drip down and then come back up. That way, if there's water, in theory, gravity will work. It will drip down and not flow uphill magically, but it's about, God only knows what'll happen, right? So we do that, and now these things are pretty straightforward. It is AC wire. In theory, you can go ahead and take this 10-3 wire here, cut it back, twist it all up nice and pretty, and slide it in. You've got N, G, and L. That is neutral, ground, and load or line. And we have those in and out right there, and these are the little flip-up levers. You slide it in. What I like to do, guys, is use a ferrule right here. This little guy right here will slide onto this wire after we go ahead and splice it back. And what that'll allow us to do is make sure we do not have any stray strands. So all it takes is one strand jumping from one to the other on the AC, and suddenly we're going to make this a smoke machine. And I don't want to make it a smoke machine. I want it to keep working. So that's why I do these ferrules like this. They just work very easy, simple to crimp on. So let's go ahead. Let's cut this jacket back and let's make sure we are in good shape. So if we put this in here, we kind of look at where it wants to land. And we say, okay, there. And then we just go ahead and we'll take our handy dandy knife here and we'll cut this back. It's nice when you have a sharp knife. You can go ahead and open this up just like that, and then we can just go ahead here and cut around it as well. And now we should be able to pull that back, throw that in the trash. And now what we can do, now that I have my wire strippers, I hold this onto here and I kind of look to see how much wire is going to go into this ferrule right here. Hopefully you can kind of pick that up on the camera. So that's where we know we need to crimp at. So we go ahead and we're going to strip that back, making sure we've got a nice clean strip here. He says, come on. There we go. Wow, I did not want to strip out. Must not have cut all the way. There it is. You know, just like always, kind of twist it up, make sure you got a nice connection. But now, guys, this guy right here slides right over, and it's going to go into this tube right here, and then the yellow part actually goes over the jacket. So now we have no frayed wires sticking out. We take this ratcheting crimper right here, very simple box crimper. We go ahead and we crimp that on down. We give it a old double crimp. Now we've got a really nice connection. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for the rest of these, and then we're going to go ahead and get these inserted in here. Now we have everybody all crimped. We still kept them labeled AABB, so I know what's going on the other end. This is clearly labeled AC input, AC output. We've flipped our levers up here on these guys right here, and it is NGL, neutral, ground, line. So we're going to go ahead and slide these guys in here, and this is actually where the ferrules come in really, really handy, guys. I can feed those in there like that, feed those in. Now we just send them all right in there, everybody is in. It's just that simple and just that quick doing those ferrules. And then I can do the exact same thing over here again. We can do it, make sure we line it up for a white, black. Oops, look at that. We want white, green, black right there to go along with our NGL. Slide that guy in there. There we go. We just walk right in. That is now wired in. The only thing I have left to do, guys, is I still need to go ahead and hook up the negative right here that's going to feed back down into our battery bank, because we need, if something goes kavat, something grounds to the case, something goes out, it needs an outlet. We don't want it back feeding through everything. That's why there is a bolt right here. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll get that wired up. I just don't have the right gauge wire right now. So now I can go ahead with this guy right here and get him all zip tied up and looking all pretty, and we can keep our drip loop in effect. So I'm gonna get that all tidied up. I can go ahead and put the lid on that. That is one more thing we have done. And then I'm gonna go around the corner over here to this side, and we're gonna go ahead and get the solar charge controller, and we're gonna start wiring that up as well. We haven't done the panels up top and everything obviously yet, but we have started pulling all the wires for that. So I can start hooking up some of those wires and just trying to button things up here, because that was the whole idea, was pulling all these wires around us so you can spend some time, instead of just pull a wire, go do something, pull a wire, do something. Try and pull all your wires as close as possible at one time. Yes, it does leave you with a lot of excess wire laying around that you need to make sure you label and know where everything is going, but it does save time, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead, get this thing all buttoned up here, and I'll move around the corner and see what kind of nonsense we can get up to over there. Let's get after it. The home stretch now for this episode is I want to go ahead and get as much of the MPPT wired up as possible as well. Now, I've already gone ahead and I pulled a wire from my flybridge circuit breaker down to here. So now I can go ahead and get this wired in to here. We're going to do the same thing that we just got done doing on that inverter with the AC power. I'm also going to do the ferrules on this as well. Now this, guys, because we have the potential for up to, what is it, 56 amps or something max, like max, we want to make sure we size our wire up accordingly. So this is 8 gauge. So this is some big boy duplex wiring here. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get this sized up and cut to length, and we're going to go ahead and put our ferrules on there and get that all squared away. So without further ado, let's dig in here. It's going to be the same as before. We go ahead, we cut our jacket back here, and then after we get our jacket cut back, we can go ahead and strip the wire back. And then in the case of these here, it is not the spring-loaded clamp like we had for the AC wire side of things, guys. In this particular case, they are screw-down style. Now, the same theory applies here, guys, AC or DC, on why we use these ferrules, or at least why I use these ferrules. And that is because I don't want to have those stray strands become an issue and let the smoke out. Slide that guy on there. Sure it looks good. Slide the old square crimper. And ratchet away. Just that simple. And then we make sure we're hooking our red positive into the correct positive here. And like I said on this one, it is a screw terminal. So we can go ahead and open that up. Open up the negative as well. And get those two slid on home. All right, so those are in. We've given it the old pull test. We know that's good. Now we're just going to do the exact same thing again, and this time we're going to be going from the battery side, and this is what's going to feed our batteries, right? And that's what's going to charge everything all up from the output of here. So I think once we do that, we'll do a little time lapse on this, get that guy figured out where it wants to live, and I think that is going to wrap up this week's Sully's Mistake Factory. We've got our inverter wired in. We've got this mostly wired in. Kind of cleaned up all the wiring down in here and getting this ready. Next week, we're probably going to actually dig into the solar panel actual install up on the hardtop. We also got to dig into how does this all network and talk together. I've talked about it a lot, and we've talked about, you know, running wires and doing all this stuff, but what does that look like? So we're either getting up to solar or we're getting up to networking. Next week should probably be solar so that we can get everything online, and then we can network, and then I can show you what it is. That's if everything goes well. But sometime mistakes are made, but we figure it out. So until next week, guys, we'll see you then. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I'm going to get back to splicing and dicing and cutting and trying not to let any blood out of the body. Peace.